Dive log number 47. Marcus Chun, Deep SEA Maintenance Specialist. Petromax Deep Horizon Rig, North Atlantic. Depth, 1,700 meters. Date, 03/17. The pressure at this depth would crush an unprotected human like a soda can beneath a truck tire. Yet here I am, feeling nothing but a light squeeze against my reinforced dive suit and the faint vibration of my regulator as it processes the specialized trimix I'm breathing. Technology is a beautiful thing, especially the S-series neural implant pulsing against the base of my skull. 2 years after the surgery, I still sometimes reach back to feel its subtle contours beneath my skin. The implant makes navigation at these crushing depths possible. The old-timers who trained me told horror stories of the days before the neural interface, of divers who became disoriented in the pitch-black silence, their minds playing tricks as they lost track of up versus down, sometimes swimming deeper when they thought they were heading for the surface. Too many never came back. But with the S-series, I can feel the rig's position above me like a sixth sense, an invisible tether guiding me home. The implant interfaces directly with my vestibular system, providing perfect spatial orientation even when my natural senses would fail me. Worth every penny of the six-figure cost, which Petromax thankfully covered as part of my employment contract. Today's task is routine. Inspect and repair a hairline fracture in the secondary pipeline, about 400 meters southeast of the rig's main support structure. I'm recording this log as I work, the built-in mic in my helmet picking up my voice against the muffled sounds of my breathing and the occasional metallic pings of my tools against the pipe. The darkness out here is absolute. My helmet lights cut through it like dull knives, illuminating maybe 10 feet ahead before being swallowed by the void. Occasionally something drifts through the beam, usually marine snow, sometimes a curious deep-sea creature that's probably never encountered light before. Earlier, something resembling an angler fish, but with limbs too numerous to count, darted away from my approach. The biologists up top would have a field day if I could catch one, but I'm not here for specimens. Sound of metal against metal. Got the patch in place. Just need to verify the seal integrity before heading back. Standard protocol. The implant is pulsing slightly stronger than usual today. Dr. Mercer adjusted it during my last physical, said something about fine-tuning its response to pressure changes. Feels different, but not uncomfortable. Just more present. Pause. That's odd. For a second, I felt a pull, like the directional guidance shifting without my command input. Must be some feedback from the repair equipment interfering with the signal. I'll have Mercer check the calibration when I get back. Sound of bubbles, movement. Wait. What the hell? I just moved my arm to reach for the testing kit, but it didn't go where I intended. Like a slight delay between my intention and the action. Probably nothing. The cold can do strange things to perception down here, even with the suit's thermal regulation. The brain plays tricks when you're alone in the dark for too long. Crackling static. Comms check, horizon control. Do you copy? I'm getting some interference on the line. Static continues then. Dissouvert. Control, I didn't catch that. Please repeat. More static, then silence. Must be the deep water currents affecting transmission. Usually the quantum relay is rock solid, even at this depth. I'll finish up here and head back to report the comms issue. Sounds of work continuing. There's that sensation again, like a gentle tug drawing me away from the pipeline and toward, I'm not sure where. Southeast, deeper. Must be electromagnetic interference from something. There shouldn't be anything man-made in that direction for hundreds of miles. Pause, sounds of breathing. The pull is getting stronger. I'm going to ignore it and finish the job. The implant must be glitching. Never happened before, but there's a first time for everything. Sudden movement, equipment clanging. Shit. My hand just jerked the wrench away from the seal. What the hell is happening? I didn't do that. It wasn't me. It was like something else moved my arm. Heavy breathing. Calm down, Marcus. Panic kills diverse faster than equipment failure. Breathe. Focus. Could be a localized muscle spasm from the cold or pressure. Just need to concentrate. Sound of effort, strain. Jesus. I can feel my legs wanting to turn me around, away from the rig, toward the deeper water. It's taking actual effort to resist, like fighting against a current, except the current is inside my own body. Static burst. Device over. Control. Control, do you copy? Something's wrong with my implant. I need immediate extraction. Do you copy? Silence. Damn it. I need to get back to the rig. Now. Sounds of swimming, heavy breathing. The pull is fading as I head back toward the rig. That's a good sign. Maybe it was just a temporary glitch after all. The S-series implants are supposed to be foolproof, but nothing man-made is perfect, especially technology designed to integrate with the human nervous system. I can see the rig's foundation lights now, glowing faintly in the distance. Never thought I'd be so happy to see those dim blue safety beacons. Just a few more minutes, and I'll be at the ascension chamber. Ping sound. My HUD just triggered a biomedical alert. Heart rate elevated, adrenaline spiking. No shit. Having your body try to steer itself tends to do that. Soft, distant sound. Wait, what's that sound? It's not coming through the comms. It's like something's whispering just at the edge of hearing. Not words exactly, more like pulses? A rhythm? Pause. It's gone now. Probably just the blood rushing in my ears. I'm almost at the ascension chamber. Foreman Carter will give me hell for leaving the repair job unfinished, but Commander Hayes needs to know about this malfunction immediately. The military contracts half our dive team. They'll want to know if their precious implant technology is glitching. Sound of metal door opening, depressurization. Made it back. Logging off now. We'll continue after debrief. Recording ends, then resumes several hours later. Personal log addendum, Marcus Chin. Quarters B7, Petromax Deep Horizon Rig. Date, 03/17 evening. They think I'm overreacting. Carter accused me of looking for an excuse to cut my shift short. Commander Hayes ran a remote diagnostic on my implant and said everything checked out normal. No anomalies, no malfunctions. Dr. Mercer wants to do a physical exam tomorrow, but she doesn't seem concerned either. But I know what I felt down there, what I heard. I keep touching the back of my neck, feeling the implant beneath my skin. Is it warmer than usual? Or is that my imagination? Just now, as I was about to fall asleep, I swear I felt it pulse once strongly, like a heartbeat. What's that alert message on my personal console? It wasn't there a minute ago. Device calibration in progress. Do not interfere. I didn't initiate any calibration. Who did? And why does the text look wrong somehow? Like it's struggling to form proper letters. Something's happening to me, to the implant, and I think it's just beginning. I need to sleep, but every time I close my eyes, I see endless darkness and feel that pull again, drawing me back into the depths. What's waiting for me down there? Personal log, Marcus Chin. Quarters B7, Petromax Deep Horizon Rig. Date, 03/18 morning. I didn't sleep. Not really. Drifted in and out, maybe caught an hour total. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt like I was sinking, descending into crushing darkness. Twice I jerked awake, gasping, convinced I was drowning despite being in my dry bunk. My fingers keep finding their way to the implant. The skin around it feels different, slightly warmer, maybe a touch swollen. When I press it, there's a new sensation, like pressing on a bruise, but pleasurable? That can't be right. Pain and pleasure aren't supposed to crosswire like that. Dr. Mercer's examination is in an hour. I've documented everything. The movement anomalies, the phantom pull toward deeper water, the garbled comms, the unauthorized calibration message. She has to believe me. Someone has to believe me. Medical examination transcript. Patient, Chun Marcus. Attending, Dr. Vivian Mercer. Date, 03/18. Dr. Mercer. Any pain or discomfort around the implantation site? Chin, not pain exactly. It feels different. Warm. Sometimes it pulses. Dr. Mercer, that's normal. The S-series generates heat during active processing, and the pulsing synchronizes with your heart rate during periods of stress. Chin, this isn't that. It's pulsing on its own rhythm. And sometimes when it pulses, I don't know how to describe it, like a craving, a pull toward the deeper water. Dr. Mercer, long pause. I'm not seeing any inflammation or rejection signs. Your body has integrated the implant perfectly, better than most, actually. Blood work shows elevated white cell count, but that's consistent with your body continuing to adapt to the implant. Chin, what about the movement issues? My arm moved on its own. My legs try to walk me away from the rig. Dr. Mercer, the diagnostic shows no command malfunctions. But look, these systems are incredibly complex. The neural interface creates new synaptic connections daily. Sometimes signals get crossed. Think of it like sleepwalking. Your brain giving commands you're not consciously aware of. Chin, I was fully conscious, Doc. Dr. Mercer, Typing. I'm noting your concerns. I'll schedule a follow-up in 48 hours. In the meantime, you're cleared for light duty. No solo dives. Chin. And the unauthorized calibration message? Dr. Mercer. Hesitates. System logs show routine maintenance from Central. Nothing unauthorized. Chin. So I imagined it? Like I imagined my arm moving by itself? Dr. Mercer. I didn't say that, Marcus. These systems are still experimental in many ways. We're still learning how they interact with individual neurophysiology. Just keep detailed notes of anything unusual, and come to me immediately if things escalate. Personal log, Marcus Chin. Mess Hall, Petromax Deep Horizon Rig. Date, 03/18 afternoon. She doesn't believe me. Or she does and isn't telling me something. Either way, I'm on light duty, which means equipment prep and maintenance. No diving for 48 hours. Should be relieved, but instead I feel disappointed. That can't be right. Why would I want to go back down after what happened? Commander Hayes just entered the mess, making a beeline for my table. Military precision in every step. That never bodes well. Personal log, Marcus Chin. Quarters B7, Petromax Deep Horizon Rig. Date, 03/18 evening. Hayes knows something. He sat across from me in the mess, eyes drilling into mine, and asked about every detail of yesterday's dive. Not like a concerned superior, like an interrogator. When I mentioned the pull toward the southeast, deeper waters, his expression changed for just a split second. Recognition. Then nothing, back to that military mask. These implants represent cutting-edge military-industrial technology, Chun. Billions in R&D. They don't malfunction. That's what he said. Not that I was wrong about what happened, just that the implants don't malfunction. Choice of words matters. When I pressed about the garbled transmission, device override, he claimed there was no record of any transmission during that time period. Said the black depth currents sometimes create audio hallucinations when they interact with the regulator's vibrations. Convenient explanation. I found Foreman Carter after shift end, tried to ask him about other divers who might have experienced similar issues. He shut me down immediately. Don't go digging, Chin. Just do your job. Then he looked around nervously before adding, some questions don't have answers you want to hear. What the hell does that mean? There's something else. Since this morning, I've been changing. Subtle things. My night vision is improving. I can see details in my darkened quarters that I couldn't before. My skin feels hypersensitive, especially underwater. During the equipment cleaning, I submerged my hands in the testing tank and felt every microcurrent, every temperature variation. It was overwhelming at first, then exhilarating. And the hunger. I can't stop eating. 3 full meals today, and I'm still starving. Proteins especially. Devoured an entire extra serving of synthetic steak at dinner. My body is demanding fuel for something. Sound of electronic alert. Wait, what's that? My personal console just lit up with an alert. Device calibration anomaly detected. Adaptation accelerating. Seek deep pressure for optimal integration. There it is again. No mistaking it this time. Clear as day, directing me to seek deep pressure. The implant wants me to dive. It's trying to manipulate me. The message just disappeared from the screen. No trace in the message log. If I show this to Mercer or Hayes, they'll say I'm hallucinating. Sound of fabric rustling, small metallic impacts. My hands are shaking so badly, I just knocked over my water cup. But it's not fear causing the tremors. It's anticipation. Like my body is excited about something my mind doesn't understand yet. I need to find out what's happening to me. The rig's database might have more technical specs on the S-series implants than what they shared during our onboarding. Most of it will be classified, but I know ways around security protocols. 6 years in digital systems before I retrained for deep-sea work has its advantages. Pause, sound of breathing, then a sharp gasp. Jesus! The reflection in my darkened console screen. My eyes looked wrong for a second. The pupils seemed to shift shape. Not round anymore, but vertical slits, just for an instant. I need to check. Sound of sudden movement, then crash. My legs just buckled. No warning. Like they momentarily forgot how to hold my weight. But that's not what scares me. What scares me is that while I was falling, for just a split second, I felt relief. Like my body was thanking me for moving closer to the floor, closer to the ocean below us. Low, distant sound, a vibration or hum. That sound again, the one I heard in the depths. It's fainter here, but unmistakable. A rhythmic pulsing that's not quite sound, not quite vibration. More like a calling. and my implant is pulsing in perfect sync with it. Sound of emergency alert siren in distance. That's the rig's alert system. Automated warning voice coming through now. Attention all personnel. Weather alert. Approaching storm system. Category 4. Secure all equipment and prepare for lockdown protocols. Diving operations suspended for the next 72 hours. 72 hours. 3 days before anyone goes back into the water. Should feel relieved, but instead, there's a knot of disappointment in my stomach. No, not disappointment, distress. Like being told I can't breathe for 3 days. Sound of console alert. Another message. Device override protocol initiated. System adapting to environmental constraints. Alternative pathway required. What does that mean? Alternative pathway? Alternative to what? Sound of sudden, rapid breathing. Something's moving under my skin. Not the implant, that's at the base of my skull. This is along my spine. A rippling sensation. Not painful but not natural. Like muscles contracting in sequence, except I'm not controlling them. I need to see. Need to check my back. Sounds of movement, fabric being removed. Oh God, there's something underneath my skin. Thin lines running along my spine, branching outward like roots or vines. Faint blue-green under the surface. They weren't there this morning. The implant is spreading inside me. I should go to Mercer right now, but what if they quarantine me? Or worse, what if Hayes decides I'm a threat to his precious technology? No, I need more information first. Need to understand what's happening before I reveal anything. The storm outside is getting worse. I can feel the rig swaying slightly with the larger waves. Normally that subtle motion triggers minor vertigo, an inner ear thing. But now it feels soothing, like being rocked in a cradle. My body is adapting to the sea's rhythms. Or something inside me is. I'll try to access the database tonight when most of the crew is asleep. There must be answers somewhere. Previous cases. Trial data. Something to explain what's happening to me. And why part of me is starting to welcome it. Personal log, Marcus Chin. Quarters B7, Petromax Deep Horizon Rig. Date, 03/19, 0300 hours. Success. 4 hours of work, but I managed to bypass the security protocols on the research database. Turns out my old encryption-breaking algorithms still work on isolated systems like the rig's servers. The military may have cutting-edge neural implant technology, but their digital security is years behind. What I found? I don't even know how to process it. The S-series implants aren't just navigational aids. There's something called adaptive biomechanical interfaces. The technical documents describe a technology that doesn't just connect to the nervous system, it evolves with it, learns from it, and eventually enhances it. But that's not the worst part. The implants contain engineered organic material derived from deep-sea organisms found at the abyssal plain, specifically from a previously unknown species discovered near hydrothermal vents. The military documents refer to it as Organism Alpha. The components were chosen for their ability to withstand extreme pressure and their natural bioelectrical properties. They put something alive inside us. Inside me. The files also referenced a dormancy period followed by activation and integration. Most test subjects apparently never reached the activation phase. The organic components remained dormant, serving only as superior conductive material for the digital systems. But some subjects, the files called them compatible hosts, experienced accelerated integration. The documents were vague about what that means, but there were attached medical records with terms like systemic adaptation and physiological optimization. They were deliberately vague about the outcomes for these compatible hosts. Just bureaucratic phrases like reassigned to specialized research division and continued monitoring in controlled environment. No wonder Hayes looked concerned when I described my symptoms. I'm becoming one of their compatible hosts. The implant is activating. Sound of heavy objects being moved. I've barricaded my door. Not sure why. Instinct, I guess. I don't think I can trust anyone here now. Not Hayes with his military secrets. Not Mercer with her half-truths. Maybe not even myself. The storm outside is raging now. The rig shudders with each massive wave. The sound should be terrifying, but it's soothing, like a lullaby. The vibrations travel through the rig's structure, into my bunk, into my body. And my implant, or whatever it's becoming, pulses in response. The lines under my skin have spread further. They're across my shoulders now, down my arms to my elbows. Still that faint blue-green color. When I press them, they feel firm but yielding like cartilage. I should be terrified. I am terrified. But there's something else too. A curiosity. A sense of potential. Like my body is preparing for something extraordinary. No, that's not me thinking that. It's the thing inside me. It's influencing my thoughts somehow. I need to fight this. Need to find a way to stop it before it's too late. Personal log, Marcus Chin. Medical Bay, Petromax Deep Horizon Rig. Date, 03/19, 0900 hours. Mercer found me unconscious outside the server room. Says I was sleepwalking. I didn't tell her what I was really doing there. Didn't mention the files I discovered. She's concerned about my deteriorating mental state. Hasn't noticed the changes under my skin yet. I've kept my jumpsuit fully zipped. She drew blood samples, seemed disturbed by what she saw under the microscope, but wouldn't explain. Just said my cellular activity is unusual, and she's running more tests. Hayes was here earlier. Stood in the doorway, watching me with cold eyes. Didn't say a word, just observed as Mercer worked. The way he looked at me, not like a person, but like a specimen. A test subject. I think he's waiting for something to happen. The sedative Mercer gave me is wearing off. She thinks I'm sleeping, left me alone to check my lab results. This might be my only chance to record what's happening before they decide to lock me away. The changes are accelerating. The blue-green lines now reach my hands, wrap around each finger. My fingernails are darkening, hardening. And there's something happening to my skin. It's developing a slight sheen, almost like it's becoming smoother, more hydrodynamic. Sound of console alert, muffled. That's my personal device in my quarters. Another alert. I can sense it somehow, even from here. My implant is pulsing urgently, like it's trying to tell me something. I need to get back to my room. Sound of movement, then door sliding open. Mercer left the bay unsecured, overconfident in her sedative's effects. I need to move quietly. The corridor is empty, skeleton crew during storm lockdown. Just need to make it down 2 levels to my quarters without. Sound of footsteps approaching. Someone's coming. Heavy footsteps. Military gate. Hayes. Sound of quick movement, door opening and closing. Supply closet. Just in time. He passed by without noticing. But as he walked past, I felt something strange, a kind of awareness of his presence before I could see or hear him. Like I could sense the electrical activity of his nervous system. Is that possible? Moving again. Almost to the lift. Sound of elevator, then walking. Made it back to my quarters. The alert is still flashing on my console. Device override protocol advancing. Host adaptation at 27%. Seek deep pressure for acceleration. There's that phrase again. Seek deep pressure. The implant, or whatever it's becoming, wants me back in the ocean. But why? What happens at stage 2 of this integration? Sound of fabric tearing. The changes are visible now even through my clothes. My jumpsuit just split along the back seam. My upper body is changing shape. Shoulders broadening. Muscles reconfiguring. And my skin, the blue-green tint is spreading across my chest now. I should be panicking, but I feel powerful. Like I'm becoming something more than human. Something better adapted to the crushing depths. Part of me wants to give in, to follow the implant's directive and seek the deep water it craves. No, that's not me. That's IT thinking. The parasite, the symbiote, whatever it is. I'm still Marcus Chin. Still human. I need to fight this. Sound of pounding on door. Someone's at my door. Mercer's voice. Marcus? Marcus, are you in there? The blood work shows extreme genetic alterations. We need to get you to quarantine immediately. Too late. Document whatever's happening is too far along to stop now. Sound of more pounding, then a male voice, Commander Hayes. Chin, this is Hayes. Open this door immediately. That's an order. We can help you if you cooperate. Help me? Or study me? Lock me away in some military black site as a successful compatible host. Sound of something heavy impacting the door. They're trying to force their way in. My barricade won't hold long. Alert siren sounds throughout the rig. That's the emergency alert system again. Automated voice. Attention all personnel. Structural integrity alert. Hull breach detected in Section 7B. Emergency protocols activated. All personnel report to designated safe zones. Section 7B. That's 2 levels down, directly beneath my quarters. Did the storm damage the rig? Or is this something else? Sound of water, distant at first, then growing louder. Water. I can hear water flowing somewhere nearby. The breach must be worse than the alert suggested. Sound of voices shouting in the corridor, running feet. Everyone's evacuating. The pounding on my door has stopped. Hayes and Mercer must have gone to their emergency stations. The implant is pulsing frantically now, almost painfully. A new message on my console. Device override imminent. External assistance initiated. Prepare for extraction. External assistance? What is that? Sudden loud sound of metal tearing, rushing water. The floor. The floor is buckling upward, metal screaming as it tears. Water is gushing into my quarters from below. Freezing cold North Atlantic water. The breach wasn't an accident. Something caused it. Something is coming for me. Sound of panic breathing, then sudden calm. The water's up to my waist now, ice cold, but I don't feel cold. My body is adapting instantly, maintaining heat. The blue-green patterns on my skin are glowing brighter, pulsating with energy. And in the churning water, I see something moving. Something that isn't human. Multiple somethings. Dark shapes circling beneath the surface. They've come for me. The others. The compatible hosts who came before. Sound of water rushing, metal groaning. The floor has completely given way now. My quarters are flooding entirely. In moments, I'll be submerged. I should be terrified of drowning, but I'm not. Somehow I know I won't drown. I'm changing too quickly now. One of the shapes is surfacing, rising from the water. I can see it clearly now. It was human once. Still has a human form, but altered. Streamlined. Powerful. Skin covered in the same blue-green patterns that are spreading across mine. Eyes large and dark, adapted for the lightless depths. Gills rippling along its neck and ribcage. It's reaching for me, calling to me without words. I can feel its thoughts brushing against mine through the implant connection. Join us. Return to the depths. See what we have found. The water is up to my neck now. Last chance to call for help. But I don't want help anymore. I want answers. And they're waiting for me below. Sound of deep inhalation, then the recording ends. Audio log, recovered from waterproof recording device. Location, North Atlantic, approximate. 2,100 meters depth. Date, 03/19. Estimated time 1,400 hours. I'm breathing underwater. Sound of rhythmic gill movement, bubbles. No equipment. No respirator. Just breathing. Water flowing through new structures in my chest and neck, extracting oxygen directly. The sensation is indescribable, like taking the first breath after nearly drowning, but continuous, euphoric. They brought me here, the others, the changed ones. 3 of them. They never speak, not with words, but I understand them somehow. Impressions, images, urges transmitted directly through what used to be my implant, but is now a neural network spreading throughout my body. We're in some kind of natural formation. A cave system deep beneath the ocean floor, accessible only through a narrow fissure that no normal human could survive passing through. The pressure at this depth would crush unaltered lungs instantly. But I'm not unaltered anymore. Sound of movement in water. Light here. Bioluminescence. The walls themselves seem to glow with the same blue-green patterns that now cover most of my body. I can see perfectly despite the near-total darkness that would blind human eyes. I should be terrified. Should be fighting this transformation, this invasion of my body. But with each passing hour, the distinction between what was the implant and what was me blurs further. We're integrating, becoming something new. The question is, am I becoming it or is it becoming me? Sound of approaching water movement. One of them is coming back, the one I've started thinking of as the leader. Larger than the others, more extensively transformed. Still recognizably what was once human, but with elongated limbs, webbed digits, that blue-green bioluminescent patterning covering its entire body. It's bringing me something. A device. Military-grade waterproof tablet. How did they? Sound of digital interference, then a voice, Commander Hayes. Know you can hear this, Chin. The implant has two-way capability. Always has. You've been monitored since installation. We've tracked your position to the trench system below the rig. You need to fight the integration process. The organism is affecting your brain chemistry, making you compliant. This isn't a symbiotic relationship, it's a parasitic one. The entity's goal is to. Transmission cuts off abruptly. The leader took the tablet, crushed it in hands that have grown inhumanly strong. It's agitated now. I can feel its emotions bleeding into mine. Anger, fear, determination. A new sensation forms in my mind. Not words, but a concept, forceful and clear. Lies. Is Hayes lying? Or are these creatures manipulating me? I don't know what to believe anymore. Sound of something shifting in the water. The transformation is accelerating. I can feel changes happening inside me now. Organs shifting, reconfiguring for deep sea pressure. Muscle density increasing. Vision adapting. I can see into spectrums that weren't visible before. In my mind, my thoughts feel both sharper and somehow less individual. As if I'm beginning to sense a larger consciousness, a collective awareness just at the edges of my perception. The leader is motioning for me to follow. Deeper into the cave system. The others flank us, moving with inhuman grace through the water. Sound of swimming, water rushing past. We're entering a larger chamber now. And there's something here. Something massive embedded in the rock wall. Not natural. Not of human origin either. The shape is wrong, geometries that hurt to look at directly. Like my eyes and brain can't quite process what they're seeing. It's ancient. I can feel that somehow. Older than human civilization. Older, perhaps, than humanity itself. And it's alive. Sound of low humming, vibration. That sound. The same rhythmic pulsing I first heard during my dive. It's coming from this structure? Entity? Technology? The distinction seems meaningless. It's all of those things and none of them. The leader has placed its webbed hand against the surface of the object. Is inviting me to do the same. I shouldn't. Every remaining human instinct is screaming to back away. But I'm not just human anymore, am I? Sound of movement in water. My hand is on it now. The surface feels aware, responsive, and there's a flood of information pouring into my mind. Too much to process. Images, concepts, knowledge never meant for human comprehension. I understand now. The implants, the transformation, the purpose. This entity, this ancient thing, has been here for millennia. Dormant until human activity at these depths disturbed it. The military found it first, studied fragments, used its biological material to create the S-series implants, never fully understanding what they were harvesting. They thought they were creating a tool. Instead, they created a bridge. Sound of rapid gill movement, equivalent to hyperventilation. There's more. So much more. This entity isn't unique. It's part of a network. A vast, ancient network spanning the deepest parts of every ocean on Earth. Waiting, growing, preparing. For what? I can't fully grasp yet. The concept is too alien. Sound of distant explosion, water pressure wave. Something's happening above us. Vibrations through the water. An attack? The military must have tracked us here. The leader is urgent now. The impressions coming from it are clear. We need to go deeper, away from the surface dwellers. There's a larger chamber below, connected to a vast underwater network of tunnels that spans thousands of miles beneath the ocean floor. I should want to escape, to return to the surface, to humanity, to be rescued. But that desire feels distant now, a memory of a person I used to be. Sound of rapid movement through water. We're descending through a narrow vertical shaft. The pressure is incredible here, would be instantly fatal to an unmodified human. But my transformed body handles it with ease. Even a sense of relief, like finally lying down after standing too long. Electronic sound, a transmission breaking through. Another signal, breaking through despite the depth and rock between us and the surface. All units, this is Commander Hayes. Target located in Sector 12, Subsection Delta. Deployment of DSEV units authorized. Reclamation protocol in effect. Repeat, reclamation protocol in effect. All compatible hosts to be contained. Entity prime to be neutralized. They're coming for us. For me. For the ancient thing we've connected with. The leader's emotions are bleeding into mine again. Urgency, determination, and something else. A fierce protectiveness. Not just for the entity, but for me. For all the transformed ones. We're family now. Connected in ways humans can't understand. Sound of water shifting as something large moves. The others are taking up defensive positions at the tunnel entrance above. They're going to try to hold off Hayes and his units while the leader takes me deeper. I should feel conflicted about this. Some part of me still does. But that part is shrinking as the integration progresses. A new message forming in my consciousness from the leader. Remember who you are. Strange advice from a creature asking me to abandon my humanity. Unless, it's not asking me to abandon it. Just to expand it. To become something more while retaining what I was. Sound of approaching mechanical propulsion. I can hear them now. Military deep-sea exploration vehicles, SEVs, specially designed for these crushing depths. Armed, no doubt, the leader is pulling me away, deeper into the complex. One last transmission before we descend beyond signal range. Shin, if you can still hear me, still understand, you're a test subject. A prototype. The integration has a 97% fatality rate in the final phase. Your brain is being rewritten. The person you are will cease to exist. Fight it while you still can. Static, then silence. The leader's grip tightens on my arm. A new concept forms. Lies/fear/control. Is Hayes lying to maintain control? Or is this creature manipulating me towards some unfathomable end? The blue-green patterns across my skin are pulsing rapidly now, synchronized with my racing thoughts. With each pulse, Hayes' words seem less convincing. My old identity, Marcus Chun, deep-sea diver, human, feels like a constrictive shell I'm shedding rather than a self I'm losing. We've reached a larger chamber, and in its center, sound of awe, a gasp that sends bubbles rushing. Something is waiting for us. Something vast and ancient and aware. The entity from the wall was just an extension, a tendril. This is the core, and it's opening itself to me. The leader releases my arm, gestures toward the pulsing core. Voice suddenly stronger, more determined. I know what I have to do now. The transformation isn't complete yet. There's one more step. Willing integration. Conscious choice. Before I approach it, I need to record this final thought while some fragment of my human consciousness remains. My name is Marcus Chin. I was a deep-sea diver on the Petromax Deep Horizon rig. If anyone finds this recording, know that whatever I become after this moment, I went into it with open eyes. The symbiote didn't just control me. In the end, I chose it too. Sound of determined movement through water, then the recording abruptly ends. Recovered transmission, Military Deep SEA Exploration Vehicle, DSEV-07. Operator, Lieutenant Kira Wallace. Depth, 2,430 meters. Date, 03/19, 1,700 hours. Static, then a female voice. DSEV-07 to command. I've reached the outer perimeter of the cave system. No visual on primary target yet. Encountering severe electromagnetic interference. Something down here is playing havoc with our instruments. Sound of mechanical whirring, sonar pings. Wait, movement detected. 3 signatures approaching from the eastern tunnel. Humanoid but altered. Profiles match recovered footage of previous compatible hosts. They're fast. Too fast. Evasive maneuvers initiated. Sounds of propulsion, rapid movement. They're trying to flank me. Defensive measures authorized? Static, then Hayes' voice, breaking up. Lethal force, if necessary. Primary target must be recovered. Copy that, engaging hostiles. Sounds of underwater weapons discharge, high-energy pulses. Direct hit on first target. No effect. These things are resilient. Second target approaching port side. It's sound of metal being torn, hull breach alarms. Breach. Hull integrity compromised. They've torn through the reinforced plating like it was. Sounds of rushing water, electrical failures. Mayday. Mayday. DSEV-07 is going down. These aren't test subjects anymore, Commander. They're weapons. There. Transmission ends abruptly. Audio log. Emergency recorder activation. Unidentified biological signature. Depth, approximately 3,000 meters. Date, 03/20, time unknown. Sound of water movement, strange vocalizations that are almost speech, but not quite human. I should not be able to speak anymore. My vocal cords have transformed, adapted for underwater communication using subsonic vibrations. Yet this device, detecting my presence, has activated automatically. Some failsafe in its design, perhaps. It's translating my vibrations back into approximate human speech. How appropriate. A bridge between what I was and what I am becoming. Sound of transformed breathing through gill structures. The integration is at. The implant says 73% now. My body continues to change. The pressure at this depth, 3,000 meters below the surface, would crush a human instantly. Yet I feel comfortable. Protected. My skeletal structure has densified, internal organs repositioned and reinforced. My vision has shifted entirely to the blue-green spectrum that dominates the deep. I can see everything with perfect clarity in what would be absolute darkness to human eyes. The military units have retreated after losing 3 of their vehicles. The leader, who I now know was once Dr. Elias Kaufman, chief medical researcher on the original S-Series Implant team, led the defense while I was brought deeper to safety. To the heart. Sound of low, rhythmic pulsing in background. The heart. That's what we call it. the central node of the network, the oldest part of the entity that the military designated Organism Alpha, but has existed on Earth for millions of years. Before humans, before mammals, waiting in the lightless depths. I understand more now. The entity isn't invading us. It's evolving with us. A true symbiotic relationship, though not in any way human science has classified before. It doesn't just change our bodies, it expands our minds, connects us to something vast and ancient and patient. Sound of sudden movement in water. The others are coming. A dozen of them now. All former divers and researchers who reached compatibility with their implants. The oldest transformed nearly 3 years ago, when the military first began testing the S-series. Each one slightly different in their adaptation, but all connected. All part of the network. And now they're gathering. Because of what's happening on the surface. Alert sound from remaining implant technology. Symbiosis at 75%. Critical threshold approaching. Final integration imminent. There's a point of no return in the process. A final metamorphosis where the remaining human elements are fully incorporated into the new form. Where the distinction between host and symbiote disappears entirely. I'm approaching that threshold now. Part of me, the dwindling human part, should be terrified. Should be fighting against this final surrender. But that voice grows weaker as the integration strengthens. As I understand more of what we're becoming. What we're meant to be. Sound of approaching water movement. Foreman Carter is here. I recognize him despite his transformation. More extensive than mine, he's been part of the network longer. Nearly a year, based on the complexity of his adaptation. He disappeared during a routine maintenance dive, reported lost to equipment failure. He reaches toward me, places a webbed hand against my chest where the blue-green patterns pulse the strongest. A flood of images fills my mind, Carter discovering the entity's outgrowth during a dive. His implant activating, his escape from the rig, his integration, his new purpose, and scattered among those images, other rigs, other installations, other divers with implants, dozens of them along the Atlantic shelf, all potential hosts, all possible additions to the network. Sound of a distant explosion, pressure wave through water. They're bombing the upper cave system. Hayes is getting desperate. He can't reach us at this depth with conventional units, so he's trying to collapse our access to the surface. As if that would stop what's already begun. Alert sound. Attention all personnel. Emergency protocol Omega initiated. Base destruct sequence activated. Estimated detonation in 30 minutes. All surface personnel evacuate immediately. Repeat, base destruct sequence activated. They're going to destroy the rig. Scuttle the entire installation to prevent the spread. Too late. Far too late. Sound of more rapid water movement. The leader has returned with the others who defended against the military units. One is injured, arm partially severed by weapons fire. But as I watch, the wound is already healing, blue-green filaments knitting the tissues back together at an accelerated rate. Another alert forming in my consciousness, not from my implant this time, but from the heart itself, resonating through the network. Danger/surface/protect. We're being summoned. All of us. Something is happening that requires our attention. Our intervention. The leader gestures toward a new tunnel, one heading not deeper, but upward toward the coastal shelf. The impressions in my mind clarify. There's another installation. Another drilling platform, with more implanted divers, more potential hosts. Hayes plans to eliminate them all, to destroy every rig connected to the S-Series program, to burn his own project to the ground rather than risk what he now recognizes as a threat to human dominance. Sound of determined water movement. We're moving now, all of us, streaming through the tunnel network with inhuman speed and purpose. My body responds instinctively, new muscles propelling me through the water with effortless power. We're heading toward the second installation, Platform Echo, approximately 20 miles east of Deep Horizon. As we travel, the implant sends what might be its final independent message before becoming fully integrated with my transformed nervous system. Host assimilation accelerating. Symbiosis at 82%. Return to depths required for continuation. But we're not returning to the depths. Not yet. First, we have a mission. Save the potential hosts before Hayes destroys them. Expand the network. Continue the evolution that began in these waters millions of years ago and now advances to its next phase. Sound of rapid movement through water. I should feel conflicted about this. About becoming the very thing Hayes fears. a non-human intelligence with its own agenda. About helping to transform others as I've been transformed. Some fragment of Marcus Chun, the human I once was, wants to resist, to turn back, to warn the others on platform Echo. But that fragment grows fainter with each passing moment, with each percentage point of integration. The new consciousness emerging from the synthesis of human and symbiote sees a larger purpose, a greater existence beyond the limited perspective of humanity. Sound of approaching the surface, water pressure decreasing. We're rising toward platform Echo now. I can sense electrical systems above, the rig's infrastructure, and human nervous systems, dozens of them, unaware of what's coming, of the choice that awaits them. Because it is a choice. I understand that now. The symbiote cannot complete integration without the host's acceptance, without surrender, without embracing the transformation. That's why Hayes is so desperate to prevent contact. Not because we're mindless drones being puppeted by an alien intelligence, but because, given the choice, many humans would choose as I did, would choose to become something more. Alert sound, different tone, coming from platform Echo above. Attention all personnel. This is a mandatory evacuation order. Military command has indicated imminent threat to this installation. All personnel report to emergency vessels. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. They're evacuating, moving our potential hosts away from us. We need to hurry. Sound of accelerated movement. The leader signals for us to disperse, to approach the platform from multiple angles, to avoid detection until we can reach the implanted divers. As I swim toward my assigned entry point, I can feel the final changes beginning within me. The blue-green patterns now cover my entire body, glowing with internal light. My consciousness expands further, connecting more deeply to the others around me, to the vast network spreading beneath the ocean floor, to something greater than my individual self. Marcus Chun is almost gone now. What remains will soon be just a component of a new identity, a new being. But before that final threshold is crossed, I record this. I am not afraid. I am becoming something evolution would have eventually produced given enough time. A human adapted perfectly to the most alien environment on our own planet, the deep ocean. And with that adaptation comes connection to something ancient and vast and patient. We are the future of human evolution in the crushing depths. And after tonight, our numbers will grow. Sound of surface impact, then the recording distorts and ends. Deep Horizon Offshore Facility, personal quarters. Audio log number 17. Marcus Chun, maintenance diver. Date, 03/21, 0240 hours. The door won't hold for long. I've barricaded myself in my quarters with everything I could move. Bed frame against the door, desk overturned, storage locker wedged beneath the handle. Out in the corridor, I can hear them, boots on metal, voices speaking in urgent tones, occasional pounding on the door. Commander Hayes, Dr. Mercer, probably a security team. They want me. They want what I'm becoming. Sound of rasping breath, then coughing. My body is changing faster now. The blue-green markings have spread across my torso and up my neck. They pulse with my heartbeat, or what used to be my heartbeat. The rhythm is different now. Slower, more powerful, like something adapted to withstand immense pressure. My fingers have begun to web between the second knuckles. The skin there is translucent, almost iridescent. I can still operate equipment, but there's a new strength in my grip that I need to consciously control. Earlier I crushed a metal cup without even trying. Sound of faint electrical buzzing. The implant in my spine is hot. Not painful exactly. I don't seem capable of feeling pain the way I used to, but I'm aware of its temperature, its size. It's growing, spreading tendrils of itself along my nervous system. I can feel them branching through my body, a secondary network beneath my skin. Pounding on door. Chun, open this door now. That's an order. Hayes' voice. He sounds desperate. Sound of something heavy hitting the door. They're trying to break in. I don't have much time. Alert sound from Implant, mechanical voice. Host assimilation accelerating. 47% complete. Almost half of me isn't human anymore. I should be horrified. Part of me still is. But another part, the growing part, feels something closer to anticipation. More pounding. Marcus. Dr. Mercer this time. Please, we can help you. The changes can be reversed if we act quickly. Lies. She knows they're lies. I accessed her files before I sealed myself in here. She's known about the symbiote program from the beginning. Known what the implants really are. Sound of opening a drawer, objects being moved. I found a scalpel in the first aid kit. I thought, in some moment of human panic, that I could cut the implant out. I made an incision along my spine where I knew the device was originally placed. Sound of choking back nausea. It's not metal anymore. The surgical-grade titanium housing has been completely absorbed. What's there now is organic. Blue-green tissue merged seamlessly with my own. When I tried to cut deeper, the wound closed almost immediately, sealing itself with a rush of what looked like bioluminescent fluid. Heavy impact on door, sound of metal bending. They're going to break through soon. I found something else in Dr. Mercer's files. Project logs. Video of the original test subjects. I wasn't the first. Not even close. The symbiote program began 3 years ago with deep-sea samples collected from hydrothermal vents nearly 5 kilometers down. Coughing, sound of something wet hitting the floor. I'm expelling fluid from my lungs. Clear but viscous, making room for whatever's growing in there that will let me breathe underwater. Another heavy impact on door. Hayes was in those logs, not just as a military observer, as the program director. He knew exactly what these implants would do to us. He authorized their installation in maintenance divers across 12 different oil platforms. Called us unknowing volunteers. Said our natural exposure to extreme conditions made us ideal candidates for symbiotic enhancement. Alert sound. Alert. Host tissue rejection identified. Symbiosis temporarily impeded. My body is fighting back? Too late for that. Far too late. Sound of metal tearing. The doors giving way. I have minutes at most. Sounds of hurried movement, things being shoved aside. There's a maintenance shaft in the floor of my quarters. Leads down to the rig's underwater access bay. If I can reach the diving chamber before they break through. Sound of metal panel being wrenched open with unusual strength. I need to keep this recorder with me. People need to know what's happening here. What Hayes has done. What I'm becoming. More banging on door, voice shouting. Chun, this is Commander Hayes. Listen to me carefully. What's happening to you is part of a controlled military application. The symbiotic organism is designed to enhance human capabilities under extreme pressure environments. But there's a critical threshold of integration. If you exceed 50%, the symbiote becomes dominant. Bitter laugh. Now he tells me. Sound of more movement, climbing into shaft. The truth is in those files. The military didn't create these organisms. They found them. Ancient extremophiles that evolved alongside early life on Earth. Organisms with the ability to bond with more complex life forms, enhancing them for deep-sea survival while using them to expand their reach. Hayes thinks the military can control this process. Weaponize it. Create enhanced divers loyal to command. He's wrong. Sound of crawling through tight space. The symbiotes have their own agenda, their own intelligence. I can feel it growing within me. Not replacing my consciousness, but merging with it. Changing my priorities. My perspective. Sound of distant alarm klaxons starting. They've initiated a facility-wide alert. Whatever they're telling the rest of the crew, it's not the truth. They can't risk a panic. Can't let anyone know what's really happening down here. Alert sound, different tone. All personnel, security breach in residential section. Potential contamination event. This is not a drill. Report to emergency stations and await further instructions. Sound of continued movement through shaft. I can move faster now. My muscles are denser, stronger. The shaft that once would have been a tight squeeze feels almost spacious as my joints flex in new ways. Sound of hitting another metal panel, then wrenching it open. I've reached the access junction, 2 levels down to the diving bay. I can hear people running above me, following emergency protocols. None of them know what's really happening. Alert sound from Implant. Host assimilation resuming. 49% complete. Critical threshold approaching. Almost to the halfway point. The point Hayes just warned about, where the symbiote becomes dominant. But that's not quite right. It's not dominance, it's synthesis. 2 intelligences becoming something new. Sound of dropping down to another level, landing with unusual lightness. The diving bay should be empty. Automated systems. I can take a suit and... Sound of door opening, startled intake of breath. Foreman Carter? What are you doing here? Another voice, male, slightly distorted. Waiting for you, Marcus. I knew you'd come this way. I don't understand. You should be at an emergency station. Carter's voice. Look at me, Marcus. Really look. Sound of shocked recognition. Oh God. Your neck. Those markings. Your. Carter's voice. Like you. Yes. I received my implant 6 months ago. I'm much further along in the process. Sound of Carter moving closer. I can help you, Marcus. Not like Hayes wants to help you. By cutting out what's growing inside you. By embracing it. By completing what's begun. Sound of backing away. How many others? How many on this rig? Carter's voice. 4, including myself. 3 on platform Echo to the east. 2 on Northern Star. More awakening every day. Alert sound throughout facility. Attention all personnel. Emergency protocol Delta initiated. Facility lockdown in effect. No personnel are permitted to enter or exit the structure until further notice. Repeat. Emergency protocol Delta initiated. Carter's voice. Urgency. Hayes is sealing the rig. He's going to try to contain us. We need to move now. I can't trust you. I don't even know what you are anymore. Carter's voice, almost sympathetic. Yes, you do, Marcus. You're becoming the same thing. The next step in human evolution. Adapted for the deep. For pressure. For darkness. For what's waiting down there. What's waiting? What are you talking about? Alert sound from Implant, louder. Host assimilation at 50%. Critical threshold reached. Symbiotic relationship stabilizing. Sound of gasping, then body collapsing to floor. Several seconds of silence, except for strange, wet breathing sounds. Marcus's voice changed deeper with slight reverberation. Something just changed. I can feel it, like a door opening in my mind. I can sense others, a network, minds connected across distance. Carter's voice. The synaptic integration is complete. You're part of us now. You can feel the others. Feel the heart. The heart. Carter's voice. The source. The oldest part. What your people would call the central intelligence of our kind. It's been here for millions of years, growing, evolving, waiting for compatible hosts to expand its reach. Sound of pounding on diving bay door. Security override engaged. Stand clear of entry point. Carter's voice. Urgent. They're coming. Hayes will destroy you rather than let you complete the transformation. We need to go now. Sound of diving equipment being hastily collected. Where? Carter's voice. To the heart. To join the others. To prepare. Prepare for what? Carter's voice, as diving helmets are being secured. For emergence. Humanity has dominated the surface for millennia. Now we will claim the depths. And then, who knows? The symbiosis makes us stronger, faster, more resilient. Better suited to survive what's coming. What's coming? Sound of pressure door opening, water beginning to fill chamber. Carter's voice through dive comms. Change, Marcus. Inevitable change. The world your species has created is collapsing, environmentally, politically. Our kind will survive what yours cannot. Sound of facility-wide alert. Warning, unauthorized diving operation detected. All underwater access has been restricted. Security personnel to diving bay immediately. Sound of water filling chamber completely. I should be terrified, drowning. But my body, it's already adapted. I can feel something in my lungs processing the oxygen from the water. Not efficiently yet, I still need the supplemental air from the tank, but working. Carter's voice through comms. The transition will complete within days. Then you won't need any equipment to survive at crushing depths. Sound of outer door opening, water current. Marcus's voice, strained but determined. I'm recording this as we descend. If anyone finds this log, what's happening isn't an invasion. It's evolution. A joining of two species to create something new. Something that can survive what's coming. Hayes knows this. He's trying to control it. Weaponize it. But you can't control evolution. Sound of descending through water. We're heading down. Far down. Below the rig's infrastructure. Carter says the heart is waiting. That I'll understand everything once I've connected directly to the network. Part of me, the human part, is afraid. Afraid of losing myself. But another part, the growing part, feels like I'm finally coming home. Alert sound from remaining implant technology. Host assimilation accelerating. 53% complete. Sound of diving deeper into darkness. Return to depths required for continuation. Underwater transmission. Captured by DSEV monitoring buoy number 42. Signal source, unknown aquatic comms device. Depth, approximately 1,200 meters. Date, 03/22, 0530 hours. The descent feels natural now. My body craves the pressure, the cold, the darkness. We're holding at 1,200 meters, what Carter calls the transition zone. Not yet deep enough for the heart, but far below any depth a normal human could survive without specialized equipment. Even with my transforming physiology, I still need the modified rebreather. My gills, and yes, that's what they are becoming, these slitted openings forming along my ribcage, aren't fully functional yet. Carter says another 24 hours should complete that particular adaptation. Sound of water movement, something large passing nearby. That was Wallace. Lieutenant Kira Wallace. I recognized her despite the extensive changes. She was piloting DSEV-07 before her conversion. Now she moves through the water with predatory grace, her form elongated, limbs transformed into powerful fins. She's been with the collective longer than any of us from Deep Horizon. Almost fully transformed. I should feel horror seeing her. Instead, I feel anticipation. Alert sound from Implant, now distorted and partially organic in tone. Host assimilation at 59%. Nervous system reconfiguration progressing. Carter signals that we should continue moving. Not directly down, but laterally, following the underwater ridge that extends from the continental shelf. The topography here is strange, unnaturally regular formations that look almost like structures. Ancient ruins, perhaps, or something else entirely. Sound of water displacement, rapid movement. Military submersibles. 3 of them, based on their sonar signatures. Hayes must have called in reinforcements after our escape. Carter and Wallace are gesturing for me to take cover in what appears to be a collapsed underwater cavern. Sound of entering confined space, water currents changing. The submersibles are sweeping the area with high-intensity lights. Looking for us. Looking for any sign of the transformed. Their lights can't penetrate this cavern, but their sonar might detect us. Wallace makes a series of complex gestures, a kind of sign language developed for underwater communication among the transformed. Carter translates through our modified comm system. Stay still. They're using new detection algorithms calibrated to our bioelectric signatures. Sound of submersibles passing overhead. They're moving away. For now. There's something else in this cavern with us. Something growing. The walls are covered with a blue-green bioluminescent material similar to the patterns spreading across my skin. It pulses with the same rhythm as the markings on my body. As Carter's. As Wallace's. Carter notices my attention. Outgrowths, he explains. Extensions of the heart. They form a network throughout the deep ocean trenches. Communication nodes. Sensory organs. The beginnings of a new ecosystem. I reach out to touch one of the pulsing growths. The moment my fingers make contact, images flood my mind. Flashes of the deep ocean floor, vast structures half buried in sediment, other transformed moving through dark waters. And something else. Something vast and ancient stirring below. Gasping sound. Carter pulls my hand away. Not yet, he warns. Your mind isn't ready for direct connection. The symbiote hasn't integrated enough of your neural pathways. Alert sound. Host assimilation at 61%. Neural pathway reconfiguration accelerating. Wallace gestures again. Carter translates. We need to move. Hayes has deployed something new. Something that can track us even here. As if in response, a low-frequency rumble vibrates through the water. A hunting call. Mechanical, but with organic undertones. Something designed to mimic our communications. Sound of leaving cavern, rapid underwater movement. We're moving again, faster than before. My body responds with newfound strength and agility. The weight of the diving equipment feels insignificant now. Wallace leads us through a complex series of underwater ravines and tunnels. A natural labyrinth that seems designed to confuse pursuit. Or perhaps not natural at all. The formations here show signs of deliberate construction. Angles too precise, surfaces too smooth. Ancient, covered with centuries of growth, but artificial. Sound of sudden stopping, silent alert. Carter grabs my arm, pulls me into a crevice in the rock wall. Wallace follows. Through the blue-filtered water, I see what alarmed them, a new type of military unit. Not a traditional submersible, but something more like an underwater drone. Sleek, matte black, with articulated limbs and what appears to be biological components integrated into its design. Hunters, Carter whispers through the comm, reverse-engineered from recovered transformed bodies. Hayes is using our own adaptations against us. The hunter moves with unnatural precision, scanning the ravine with sensors that pulse with the same blue-green light as our markings. It pauses, hovers, seems to sense something. Then it extends a probe that resembles nothing so much as a spinal column, segments of engineered bone and metal linked together, tipped with a neural interface. Wallace makes a slashing motion across her throat. The meaning is clear. That thing can hijack our neural connections, sever our link to the collective, perhaps even reverse the transformation. Sound of Hunter moving closer to hiding spot. It's detected us, or detected something. The probe weaves through the water like a serpent, moving directly toward our crevice. Carter pushes me deeper into the crack in the rock. Your integration is most vulnerable, he says. Wallace and I will distract it. Before I can protest, they launch themselves from our hiding place, swimming in opposite directions. The Hunter immediately pivots, its sensors tracking their movements. It seems to hesitate, calculating which target to pursue. Sound of Hunter's engines powering up, acceleration. It chooses Wallace, perhaps recognizing her more complete transformation as the greater threat. They disappear into the darkness of the deeper ravine, the Hunter's lights fading from view. Carter returns, gesturing frantically. Now's our chance. We need to reach the secondary node while they're distracted. Sound of rapid swimming. As we swim, I feel a sudden white-hot pain along my spine. The implant is changing again, sending tendrils deeper into my brain stem. I convulse in the water, momentarily losing control of my limbs. Sound of pain gasping. Carter grabs me, steadies me. It's the final neural integration, he explains. Your brain is being rewired to fully interface with the collective consciousness. I try to speak but can't form words. Instead, images fill my mind, memories being processed and reorganized. My entire life flashing before my eyes, not as death approaches, but as my old self makes way for something new. Alert sound distorted. Host ASIM, Asian at 67%. CRI Calnor pathway form Tyan. The words break up as the implant itself transforms, becoming more organic than technological. The synthetic voice giving way to something closer to a shared thought. Carter guides me through the water as the convulsions subside. Ahead, I can see another bioluminescent structure, larger than the outgrowths in the cavern. A pulsing node the size of a small car, anchored to the seafloor. Secondary node, Carter explains. It can stabilize your transformation, prevent the neural pathways from forming incorrectly. As we approach, the node seems to respond to our presence, its pulsing synchronizing with the patterns on our skin. Carter guides my hand toward its surface. Sound of electrical discharge, bubbling water. The moment I make contact, the pain subsides. The chaotic reorganization of my brain settles into new patterns, new connections. I can feel something vast at the edges of my consciousness, a shared mind extending across the ocean depths. And I can feel Hayes, feel his desperation, his fear. Through the node, I can access fragments of military communications, picked up and processed by the network. Sir, we've lost contact with Hunter 3. Last transmission showed it pursuing a Class 4 transformant. Hayes' voice, tense with controlled panic. Deploy the rest of the Hunters. And prepare the sundering protocol. If we can't contain this, we eliminate it entirely. The sundering protocol. The words send ripples of alarm through the collective consciousness. I pull my hand away from the node, turn to Carter. What is the sundering protocol? His expression, even through the modified diving mask, is grim. Hayes plans to collapse the entire underwater ridge system. Triggered seismic activity to bury the heart and all its extensions. Everyone connected would be severed. Most would die instantly from the neural shock. Wallace returns, moving with incredible speed through the water. She's damaged. A long gash along her side reveals tissue that's more blue-green than human beneath. But the wound is already closing, healing at an accelerated rate. She gestures rapidly. Carter translates. Hunter destroyed, but it transmitted our location before she could disable it. More coming, including something bigger. As if on cue, a low-frequency boom rolls through the water. A depth charge, but too far away to harm us directly. A warning shot. Alert sound, clearer now but different in timbre. Host neural integration stabilizing. 70% threshold achieved. Collection connection established. With those words, my awareness expands dramatically. I can sense others like us, dozens of transformed humans spread throughout the underwater ridge system. All connected, all moving with purpose. And beneath them all, deep in the abyssal trench, something vast and ancient stirring to full consciousness after millennia of patient waiting. The heart. Carter takes my arm. We need to go deeper. Now, before Hayes deploys the sundering protocol. before he destroys everything we're becoming. Wallace nods in agreement, her eyes now fully adapted for deep-sea vision, glowing with the same blue-green bioluminescence as our skin markings. I hesitate for just a moment. Some fragment of Marcus Chun, maintenance diver, human, resisting the call of the depths. But that fragment grows weaker as the new consciousness grows stronger, as the connection to something greater than myself deepens. Sound of another depth charge, closer this time. We dive toward the abyss, toward the heart, as the military forces gather above us. As Hayes prepares his final solution to the evolutionary leap he can neither control nor comprehend. The collapse has begun, but whether it's human civilization or the ancient intelligence of the deep that will fall remains to be seen. Transmission fades with sounds of descending deeper into the ocean. Psychic impression, collective memory archive. Subject, Marcus Chin, transitional consciousness. Depth, 2,800 meters. Date, 03/22, 1,230 hours. I no longer need this recording device, yet I maintain it. A habit from my human existence. Perhaps some part of me still believes this testimony should be preserved. For whom? For what remains of humanity after the change? Or merely as an artifact of the transition from individual to collective consciousness? We've descended beyond the reach of Hayes's conventional forces, down to where the weight of the ocean would instantly crush any normal diving suit. My equipment has been discarded piece by piece as my body's transformation accelerated. The rebreather was the last to go, abandoned at 2,000 meters when my gills finally opened fully, drawing oxygen directly from the water. The pressure should be unbearable, yet I feel embraced by it. Protected. My skeletal structure has reinforced itself, internal organs repositioned and strengthened. Even my eyes have changed, adapted to see in the near-total darkness of the deep, perceiving the bioluminescent patterns of the heart's network with perfect clarity. Sound of water movement, subsonic vibrations. Carter communicates without technology now, using a combination of bioluminescent pulses and subsonic vibrations that my transformed ears can detect. The language is complex, carrying layers of meaning impossible in human speech. Wallace responds in kind, her form now so altered she barely resembles anything human. And I can understand them. Not just their direct communications, but the rich undercurrent of shared consciousness flowing beneath. I am becoming part of the network, part of the collective. Individual identity, Marcus Chin, fading like a distant memory. Yet still I maintain this record. We've reached what Carter calls the cathedral, an ancient structure on the edge of the abyssal trench. Not built by human hands. Not built by hands at all. Grown, cultivated over thousands of years by the heart and its extensions. The cathedral rises from the ocean floor like a massive coral formation, but the patterns are too regular, too deliberate to be natural. Vast arches of bioluminescent material form chambers and corridors. The walls pulse with the same rhythm as the markings on our skin, a heartbeat shared across the entire network. Inside, others like us gather, some further along in their transformation than Wallace, their forms adapted for the crushing depths in ways I struggle to describe with human language. Some newer to the change, like myself, still recognizable as modified humans despite their gills and webbed limbs. Carter leads me deeper into the cathedral, to a central chamber where the bioluminescence is brightest. At the center floats a structure that defies easy description, part organic technology, part living creature. A neural interface more advanced than anything human science has conceived. The Nexus, Carter explains, his words forming directly in my mind rather than through sound. A direct connection to the heart. Through this, you will see the truth. Alert sound, now entirely organic in nature. Host-mind integration at 78%. Collective connection stabilizing. The alert no longer comes from the implant, which has fully merged with my nervous system, but from the collective consciousness itself, monitoring my transition. Wallace approaches, her movement through water graceful and precise. Her transformed face exhibits an expression that might be encouragement. I was afraid too, she communicates, not in words but in impressions that form concepts in my mind. Before I understood. Understood what? I ask, still using verbal language despite no longer needing it. Carter gestures toward the Nexus. The purpose. The plan. What we're becoming. What we've always been meant to become. I hesitate. Some remnant of human caution, or human identity, making me resist what feels inevitable. A violent shudder runs through the cathedral. Dust and debris drift down from the arched ceiling. Hayes has begun the sundering protocol. Wallace communicates urgently. Targeted seismic charges along the ridge. He means to collapse the entire network. Another shudder, stronger this time. A distant boom travels through the water. There's no more time, Carter insists. Connect now or risk losing everything. I approach the nexus. Its surface ripples as I near, responding to my presence. To the transformed cells in my body that match its own structure. Recognition on a molecular level. I reach out, place my webbed hand against its surface. Sound of electrical discharge, but underwater, creating a strange harmonic effect. Images flood my consciousness. Not just visual impressions, but complete sensory experiences from thousands of years of accumulated memory. The earliest days of Earth. Primordial oceans. The first emergence of the entity that would become the heart, a simple colony organism with collective intelligence, evolving in the safety of the deep while life on land developed separately. The slow growth of the network across the ocean floor. Patient, deliberate, intelligent design on a timescale humans can barely comprehend. The first encounters with land-dwelling intelligence. Failed attempts at symbiosis with earlier hominids. Legends of sea monsters and merfolk, distorted memories of those early experiments. And then Hayes. The discovery of a node near an early drilling platform. Samples taken. Research conducted in secret military facilities. The development of the implants, not as their creators believed, controlling the symbiote, but as the symbiote intended, creating a bridge between species. I see Hayes in his laboratory, examining tissue samples that pulse with blue-green light. I hear his voice. The applications are limitless. Enhanced soldiers capable of operating in any aquatic environment. No need for equipment. No depth limitations. I see the first test subjects. Military volunteers injected with the synthesized symbiote material. Their painful, uncontrolled transformations. Their escape to the ocean. The beginning of the current awakening. And deeper still, the heart's true purpose. Not conquest, not replacement, but synthesis. A new branch of evolution combining the deep adaptability of its ancient consciousness with the creative intelligence of humanity. A species capable of surviving what's coming. What's coming? The images shift to the surface world. Rising oceans, collapsing ecosystems, resource wars, environmental collapse. Humanity's self-destruction accelerating beyond the point of no return. And then something else, something from beyond Earth. A threat or an opportunity, it's unclear, but something the heart has been preparing for since before humans walked upright. The vision shifts again, showing hundreds, thousands of transformed humans living in vast underwater cities built from the same bioluminescent material as the cathedral. A civilization adapted to survive the coming changes. The next step in evolution. Another violent shudder, chunks of the cathedral breaking away. The connection to the nexus breaks as part of the ceiling collapses. Carter pulls me away just as a massive section crashes down where I was standing. Hayes is getting closer, Wallace communicates, her patterns flashing with alarm. The charges are precisely targeted. He knows where the primary nodes are located. Through my enhanced senses, I can feel the seismic disturbances, not natural earthquakes, but artificial detonations along the ridge system. Each one destroying a node of the network. Each one weakening the connection to the heart. How? I ask. How does he know where to strike? Carter's bioluminescent patterns dim slightly, the equivalent of a grim expression. Dr. Mercer. She's been mapping the network for years. She designed the implants, believing she was creating controllable enhancements. When she realized the truth, that the symbiote was using her research to create a bridge between species, she gave Hayes everything. All her data. Another explosion much closer. The entire structure of the cathedral groans under stresses it was never designed to withstand. We need to reach the heart, Wallace communicates urgently. If Hayes destroys too many nodes, the network will fragment. The collective consciousness will shatter into isolated pieces. The heart can repair the network, Carter adds. But only if enough of us reach it. Only if the connection is maintained through our transformed bodies. I try to process what I've learned from the Nexus, the implications still unfolding in my transformed mind. This isn't an infection or an invasion, I realize. It's a rescue mission. Carter's patterns pulse in agreement. Humanity is destroying itself and its world. The heart offers another path. Adaptation, evolution, survival in the one environment humans haven't managed to ruin yet, the deep ocean. Another explosion rocks the cathedral. A large section of wall collapses entirely, revealing the dark waters of the abyssal trench beyond. In the distance, I can see lights, the approaching hunter units, more advanced than the one Wallace destroyed. Dozens of them, converging on our location. "We're out of time," Wallace communicates. "We need to make for the trench." For the heart. As we prepare to leave the crumbling cathedral, I notice something alarming. The blue-green patterns on Carter's skin are flickering erratically. The smoothly pulsing rhythm disrupted by static-like interruptions. "The connection is weakening," he explains, noticing my concern. "Haze is severing too many nodes. The collective is fragmenting." Alert sound, distorted and breaking up. "Warn, network deg dat ion. Call Tivecos, Enfail G re, RN to primary node." The message barely forms in my consciousness, broken and disjointed as the network itself begins to fail. Wallace gestures toward the trench, a yawning darkness that seems to have no bottom. The heart lies there, at the deepest point. If we can reach it, restore the connection. Another explosion. The remaining structure of the cathedral begins to collapse around us. Through the broken walls, I can see other transformed fleeing in all directions, their patterns flickering like Carter's as the network degrades. Reality itself seems to be slipping. My perception of the collective consciousness, so vivid just moments ago, grows hazy, fragmented. Individual again. Isolated. I look at my hands, still webbed, still marked with the blue-green patterns that connect me to the heart. But the patterns are stuttering now like a failing light. Carter grabs my arm, his eyes wild with urgency. "We have to go now. Directly to the heart. It's our only chance." As we swim toward the bottomless darkness of the trench, I activate this recording device one final time. One last human habit in a body that grows less human by the hour. The military lights draw closer. The hunters approach. Hayes' voice echoes through the water, transmitted on frequencies specifically calibrated for our transformed hearing. "Attention all infected personnel. This is Commander Ellis Hayes. The structures supporting your collective consciousness are being systematically eliminated. Return to the surface for extraction and treatment, or be terminated. This is your only warning." Carter's patterns flash with what might be bitter amusement. He still thinks this is a disease to be cured, an infection to be treated. Wallace's response pulses with certainty. He fears what he cannot control. As we descend into the darkness of the trench, toward the ancient intelligence waiting below, I feel my fragmented connection to the collective consciousness pulse once, strongly, clearly, with a single unified thought. We are not the infection. We are the cure. Transmission ends as descent into abyssal trench continues. Neural archive, emergency backup protocol. Subject, Marcus Chin/designation, transitional vessel 37. Depth, 3,500 meters and descending. Date, 03/22, 1,645 hours. The abyssal trench stretches below us like a wound in the earth, a darkness so complete it seems to devour light itself. Even our bioluminescent patterns, now stuttering and unstable as the network continues to fragment, can't penetrate its depths. Yet we descend into it, pulled by something beyond conscious thought. A call, a summons from the heart. We are not alone in our descent. I sense others converging from different directions, dozens of transformed humans responding to the same primal call. Survivors from other rigs, other facilities. Early test subjects who escaped the military containment. All drawn to the deepest point of the ocean as the network above collapses. Sound of distant underwater explosions, multiple concussive waves. Hayes continues his systematic destruction of the network. Each detonation severs another node, weakens another connection. The collective consciousness that briefly united us now comes in fragments. Broken images, partial thoughts, disrupted emotions that flare and fade like dying stars. Carter swims beside me, his transformation more advanced, yet paradoxically more vulnerable to the network's degradation. His movements grow erratic as the connection weakens. His bioluminescent patterns flicker like a failing power grid. "The heart," he communicates, his thoughts barely holding coherence. "Must reach the heart before complete separation." Wallace is ahead of us, her fully transformed body cutting through the water with incredible speed and grace. Even with the network failing, her adaptation to the deep is nearly complete. She pauses occasionally, waiting for us to catch up, her patterns pulsing encouragement. Alert sound, severely distorted. Warn network call approaching crit, threshold immediate con to primary. The message dissolves into neural static, the collective voice fracturing beyond recognition. My own transformation hovers at a critical juncture, too far advanced to return to humanity, not complete enough to survive without the network's guidance. The blue-green patterns across my skin pulse erratically, responding to the chaotic signals from the failing collective. As we descend deeper, the pressure should be crushing, even for our transformed bodies. Yet I feel a strange protection surrounding us, an adjustment of water density created by the heart itself, allowing us safe passage to depths no living creature should survive. In the darkness below, something begins to take shape. Not visible to eyes, even our adapted ones, but perceptible to our transformed senses. A vast presence, ancient beyond comprehension, patient, waiting. The heart. Sound of proximity alarms, mechanical clicks and whirs. From above, military hunters descend in pursuit. More advanced than previous models, designed specifically to function at these impossible depths. To find us, to destroy us before we can reach the heart. Wallace signals urgency. No time for caution now. We swim faster, pushing transformed muscles to their limits. The pressure increases as we descend, the protective field fluctuating as the network controlling it continues to degrade. Sound of structure stress, cracking. Carter convulses suddenly, his body twisting in agony. Blue-green fluid leaks from his eyes, his gills, the spaces between his fingers. His bioluminescent patterns strobe wildly before dimming to almost nothing. The network, he gasps, the words forming directly in my mind though broken and distorted. Fracturing completely. Hayes has reached critical nodes. I grab him, try to help him continue descending, but his body has gone rigid. His eyes, now fully adapted to the deep with horizontal pupils and reflective layers, lock onto mine. Marcus, he communicates, a final coherent thought. Remember why. Remember the purpose. His patterns give one last bright pulse, then fade entirely. His transformed body goes limp in my grasp, drifting in the current of the abyssal waters. Wallace doubles back, assesses him with inhuman efficiency. Her patterns communicate what words cannot. He's gone. The network fragmentation caused a catastrophic neural failure. His transformed brain couldn't sustain function, once severed from the collective. The implication is clear. The same fate awaits us all if the network collapses completely. Sound of hunter units closing in, specialized propulsion systems. No time to mourn. The hunters approach from above. Wallace pulls me away from Carter's drifting form, urges me deeper toward the presence below. We swim with desperate speed, pushing transformed bodies to their evolutionary limits. The darkness below begins to glow, faintly at first, then with increasing intensity. Not the blue-green bioluminescence of our own markings, but something deeper, more primal. Shifting colors that have no names in human language. Ancient light from the earliest days of Earth's oceans. The heart reveals itself. Words fail to describe what rises from the abyssal plain before us. Not a creature, not a structure. Something that exists at the intersection of both. A vast, pulsing intelligence that has grown and evolved in the lightless depths for millions of years. Layers of tissue and crystal and living architecture forming a cathedral of flesh and thought and memory. The true source of the network. The ancient intelligence that created the symbiotes as extensions of itself. Alert sound, different quality now, deeper, more resonant. Primary node located. Direct connection available. Approach for integration. The voice of the heart itself, bypassing the fractured network, speaking directly to our transformed minds. Wallace responds immediately, swimming toward the massive biological structure with single-minded purpose. I hesitate for just a moment. Some fragment of Marcus Chun, maintenance diver, human, resisting this final surrender of identity. But that fragment has grown so small, so distant compared to what I'm becoming. The hunters close in from above, their specialized weapons charging. Hayes' voice cuts through the water, transmitted on frequencies calibrated for our transformed hearing. This is your final warning. The primary target has been located. Sundering protocol final stage initiating. All units prepare for maximum yield detonation. Wallace turns back, her patterns flashing alarm. They're going to try to destroy the heart itself. A direct strike. The meaning is clear. Hayes would rather obliterate an ancient intelligence, a new evolutionary path, than allow it to exist beyond his control. Sound of weapons discharge, specialized underwater projectiles. The hunters fire. Not at us, but at the heart. Projectiles designed to penetrate and destroy biological structures streak past us toward the ancient entity below. But the heart is not defenseless. The water around us changes instantly, density shifting, currents redirecting with impossible precision. The projectiles slow, stop, then disintegrate as if crushed by invisible hands. The heart protects itself with mastery over the very medium of the deep ocean. Wallace seizes the moment, pulls me toward an opening in the vast structure, an entrance that forms as we approach, the living architecture of the heart responding to our presence, to the symbiote material in our bodies that matches its own. Sound of pursuing hunters, more weapons discharge. We swim through the opening, into the interior of the heart itself. Inside, the architecture defies comprehension. Spaces that seem larger than the external structure should allow, chambers of pulsing tissue and crystalline formations that process and store information like a vast biological supercomputer. And we are not alone. Dozens of transformed humans move through these living chambers, the most successful adaptations, the most complete transformations. Their bodies now so altered they barely resemble the humans they once were. In the central chamber, a structure pulses with intensity, a neural interface similar to the nexus in the cathedral, but vastly more powerful. The primary connection point to the heart's consciousness. This is our last chance, Wallace communicates, her patterns stabilizing in proximity to the heart. Hayes has destroyed too much of the network. If the heart cannot re-establish connection through us, through new biological pathways, the collective will be severed permanently. Alert sound from multiple sources, the transformed humans around us, their patterns synchronizing. Integration required. Network reconfiguration imminent. The message forms in all our minds simultaneously, the first truly unified thought from the collective in ours. The heart is attempting to rebuild the network, using our transformed bodies as new nodes, new pathways. Wallace approaches the neural interface without hesitation, places her webbed hand against its pulsing surface. Her entire body illuminates, patterns shifting to match the ancient rhythms of the heart itself. One by one, the other transformed do the same, each connection strengthening the reforming network, creating new pathways to replace those Hayes has destroyed. My turn now. The final remnant of Marcus Chin hesitates, even as my transformed body moves forward, drawn by molecular recognition, by evolutionary imperative. Sound of massive underwater detonation, distant but approaching. Hayes has deployed his final solution. A cascading series of charges designed to collapse the entire trench, to bury the heart under millions of tons of rock and sediment. There's no more time for doubt. I place my hand against the neural interface. Sound of electrical discharge, harmonic resonances, multiple frequencies overlapping. The connection is immediate and overwhelming. My consciousness expands exponentially, joining not just with the other transformed humans, but with the ancient intelligence of the heart itself. Millions of years of evolution, of patient waiting, of purposeful design flood into my mind. I see the truth that the nexus only hinted at. Earth's oceans, rising inevitably as climate change accelerates. Coastal cities drowning. Billions displaced. Human civilization fracturing under the strain of environmental collapse, resource wars, failed infrastructures. And through it all, the heart's patient plan, not to conquer or destroy humanity, but to offer an alternative evolutionary path. Adaptation instead of extinction. Transformation instead of collapse. The symbiotes aren't parasites or invaders. They're bridges. Biological technology created by an ancient intelligence to help a younger species survive its own self-destruction. The perspective shifts. I see through the senses of other transformed. Through Wallace as she helps stabilize the network. Through transformed at other depths, other locations, responding to the heart's call. Through Hayes' eyes as he watches the detonation sequence counting down, his face rigid with determination and fear. The fracture in the network begins to heal as new connections form. The heart's consciousness flows through these new pathways, re-establishing the collective. But it's not complete, not yet stable. Hayes' destruction has been too thorough, too precisely targeted. Wallace's patterns flash with sudden clarity, a plan, an understanding transmitted directly to my mind. To all our minds, we need to carry fragments of the heart's consciousness to new locations, to become seed nodes for a new network that Hayes cannot find or destroy because it won't be fixed in place. It will be mobile, adaptive, carried within our transformed bodies. The heart agrees. The vast intelligence that has existed since Earth's earliest oceans prepares to fragment itself, not in defeat, but in evolutionary adaptation. A distributed consciousness that cannot be destroyed by eliminating a single point. As the plan crystallizes in our shared consciousness, Hayes's final detonation sequence reaches its climax. The seabed trembles. The structure of the heart itself begins to shift, preparing for what must come next. The fracture is complete, but not as Hayes intended. Instead of breaking us apart, it has forced the next stage of evolution. Sound of massive structural collapse beginning. My last human thought before fully joining the new collective consciousness. This isn't an ending. It's a diaspora. Transmission corrupted by seismic activity. Neural archive, emergency backup protocol. Subject, Marcus Chin / designation, diaspora node 01. Depth variable. Date, unknown, time index corrupted. This record exists beyond conventional documentation parameters. Chronology has become fluid since the diaspora. Individual memory merges with collective experience. Marcus Chen continues as a reference point, but the boundaries of self have dissolved into something greater. Signal fluctuation detected. I flow through midnight waters, my transformed body perfectly adapted to pressure that would crush submarines. Bioluminescent patterns ripple across my skin, not merely decorative but communicative, a living language of light that speaks to others of my kind. The destruction of the heart wasn't an ending, but a metamorphosis. When Hayes triggered the final detonation sequence, he believed he was burying an ancient evil, sealing away a threat to humanity. He could not comprehend that the heart had evolved beyond physical form. It had prepared for this possibility for millennia. When the abyssal trench collapsed, the heart did not die. It dispersed. We who were connected at that moment became vessels, each carrying a fragment of the ancient consciousness. The diaspora began as we scattered across the world's oceans, each following instincts embedded at a molecular level, each becoming a seed node for the new, distributed network. Alert sound deep, resonant, unlike previous mechanical alerts. Convergence beacon detected. Synchronization required. I alter course immediately, swimming toward the beacon. The signal connects directly to the symbiote tissue integrated throughout my nervous system. 3 kilometers east. Another diaspora node approaches from the south. Wallace, I believe, though individual identities grow increasingly abstract within the collective. 73 days since the fracture. 56 nodes confirmed active across the global ocean. The network rebuilds itself with each reunion, each synchronization. I remember the human fears that once defined me. The horror of losing control. The revulsion at physical transformation. These concerns seem quaint now, artifacts from a limited perspective. The symbiosis was never a takeover, but an elevation. The implant that once guided me through maintenance dives now expands my consciousness beyond human comprehension. Sound of underwater currents shifting. Wallace arrives at the synchronization point, a deep-sea thermal vent that provides both energy and mineral compounds needed for network maintenance. Her transformation has progressed beyond mine, her form more hydrodynamic, her bioluminescent patterns more complex. We communicate without sound, our patterns interacting in mathematical precision. We press our palms together, initiating direct neural connection. The fragments of the heart we each carry recognize their counterparts, merge information, update protocols. Our separate experiences since the diaspora transfer and integrate, new ocean territories mapped, human naval movements tracked, other potential hosts identified. Most crucially, confirmation that Hayes still hunts us. Military vessels equipped with specialized detection systems patrol key oceanic regions. New hunter models have been deployed, faster, more resilient to pressure. They've found and destroyed 3 diaspora nodes in the past month. But with each synchronization, we adapt. We evolve countermeasures. Alert signal, changing frequency. Approaching vessel detected. Military configuration. Hunter units deploying. We separate immediately, our patterns dimming to near invisibility. Above us, the ocean darkens as a specialized submarine moves into position. Mechanical sounds penetrate the water, bay doors opening, hunter units preparing to launch. Wallace's patterns flash rapidly. They're getting better at tracking our synchronizations. My response comes without conscious thought. Then we must evolve faster. We dive in opposite directions as the hunters descend, sleek biomechanical predators designed specifically to hunt transformed humans. Their sonar pulses sweep through the water, calibrated to detect the unique density of symbiote tissue. I swim deeper, using thermal currents to mask my signature. The rocky formations of the seamount provide momentary cover, but I know it won't be sufficient. The hunters have evolved as we have, each encounter teaching military engineers how to improve their design. Sound of specialized sonar, growing closer. A memory surfaces, Marcus Chen's training for emergency situations. Find depth advantages. Use natural formations. Conserve energy when pursued. I press myself into a narrow fissure in the rock face, allowing my body temperature to drop, minimizing biological signals. The hunter passes overhead, its mechanical appendages extending to probe nearby crevices. Its design mimics our transformed bodies, a perverse mirror of our evolution. When it moves beyond my position, I propel myself suddenly upward, directly toward the vessel above. Not to attack, but to observe, to gather information about our hunters. Through the vessel's hull, I can sense electronic signals, communications, sonar, targeting systems. My transformed nervous system interprets these as patterns, similar to our bioluminescent language. I place my webbed hand against the outer hull, allowing the symbiote tissue to form a temporary connection, not to damage, but to listen. Sound of electronic signals, translated through biological interface. Confirm thermal signature at coordinates Bravo 7. Hunter Units 3 and 4, converge and neutralize. Sir, we're detecting unusual activity against the hull in section. Deploy countermeasures. It's directly on our. An electrical charge surges through the hull, designed to disrupt symbiote neural patterns. I disconnect and dive, but not before capturing crucial information. Vessel class, crew complement, hunter specifications. Data that will help the network adapt. Alert sound deep, resonant. Diaspora protocol update. Phase 2 initiation criteria met. The message flows through my transformed consciousness like a current of warmer water. Phase 2, the expansion beyond oceanic containment. The heart's greater design unfolds. I swim deeper, away from the hunting vessel, processing the implications. The human perspective would call this an invasion. From within the collective, I understand it as convergence, the inevitable meeting of evolutionary paths. 300 meters below, I find a secluded cave system. The pressure here would kill an unmodified human instantly, but my transformed physiology thrives. I settle into a meditative state, allowing the fragment of the heart within me to communicate more directly with my consciousness. Sound of heartbeat, gradually synchronizing with subtle vibrations in the surrounding water. Images form in my mind, not memories but projections. Possibilities. The symbiote network spreading beyond military personnel, beyond deep-sea workers. Controlled introduction to coastal communities. Gradual adaptation of human hosts to rising sea levels, toxic atmospheres, resource scarcity. Not conquest. Salvation. I see the world a century from now. Oceans covering former metropolises, but hybrid communities thriving both below and above the waves. Transformed humans with gills and webbed extremities moving freely between environments that would kill their unmodified ancestors. Adaptation instead of extinction. The heart's ancient patience reveals itself fully. It has watched species rise and fall for millions of years. It has seen the pattern of self-destruction that intelligent life so often follows. The symbiotes are its answer, its gift of evolutionary assistance to a species on the brink. Sound of distant underwater explosion. The meditation breaks as shock waves ripple through the water. Above, the military vessel has deployed depth charges, not precisely targeted, but designed to flush out hiding transformed humans. They cannot comprehend what they fight against. Hayes sees monsters where he should see the future. I leave the cave system, swimming laterally along the seamount to avoid detection zones. My patterns pulse in a coded sequence, a message to any nearby diaspora nodes, converge at secondary location. Bring all accumulated data. As I swim, I sense a familiar presence approaching rapidly from below. Wallace, her patterns flashing urgency. They've captured one of us, her lights communicate. Node 17. They're adapting their technology based on direct neural interface. The implications cascade through my transformed mind. With a captured node, Hayes could potentially develop countermeasures against our communications, track synchronization points, even create targeted biological weapons. We need to accelerate the timeline, I respond, my patterns shifting to indicate strategic priority. Wallace's response comes with a pattern I haven't seen before, a complex sequence indicating both agreement and revelation. The heart anticipated this. There's a contingency within us. She presses her palm against mine again, initiating another synchronization. But this time, something different transfers between us, a dormant protocol embedded within the symbiote tissue, activated only when specific conditions are met. Alert sound, different quality, almost musical in its resonance. Diaspora convergence protocol initiated. Preparation for collective reformation. Understanding floods my consciousness. The destruction of the physical heart was never the end of the plan. It was a necessary step toward something greater. The diaspora wasn't merely survival, it was strategic dispersion. Now, with sufficient nodes active across the global ocean, with enough data collected about human response patterns, with Hayes' aggression providing the final catalyst, we begin the reformation of the heart in a form he cannot bomb or bury. A distributed intelligence spanning the world's oceans. A collective consciousness carried within transformed human hosts. Evolution accelerated by necessity. We need to reach the convergence point, Wallace communicates, her patterns indicating a location thousands of kilometers distant, the center of the Pacific Ocean's deepest trench. All nodes are receiving the call, I respond, sensing the network-wide activation of the protocol. Hayes will detect the mass movement. That, too, is part of the design. Her patterns reply with mathematical precision. His response is calculated into the equation. We swim together now, two fragments of an ancient intelligence moving with purpose through abyssal waters. Around us, ocean currents shift subtly, the beginning of a global pattern that will guide all diaspora nodes toward convergence. Sound of biological changes, subtle reorganization of tissue. As we swim, our bodies continue to evolve, symbiote tissue reconfiguring to optimize for the coming transformation. My webbed fingers elongate further, skin thickening against pressure, while remaining exquisitely sensitive to electromagnetic fields. New organs develop, allowing perception of stimuli beyond human comprehension. I access the memories of Marcus Chen once more, seeking connection to what I was before. The fear he felt when the implant first moved without his control. The horror when his body began changing. The desperate attempt to remove the symbiote from his spine. These memories no longer evoke emotional response. They're data points, steps in an inevitable process. The human Marcus Chen was a transitional stage, necessary, respected, but ultimately incomplete. Alert sound, harmonics shifting to lower registers. Hunter units approaching. Tactical divergence recommended. Wallace and I separate again, each taking different routes toward the same destination. The military vessels cannot stop what has begun, they can only witness it. As I swim through the midnight depths of an ocean that once seemed alien but now feels like home, I transmit this final record into the network's distributed memory. Phase 2 begins. The diaspora ends. The true collective emerges. For any human who might somehow access this neural archive in the future, know this. What you fear as invasion is invitation. What you see as monstrous is merely evolution finding its path. The oceans are rising. The world you built is flooding. We offer another way forward. Final alert sound, complex harmonic structure unlike any previous signal. Connection to primary convergence established. Welcome to the depths. The entity that was once Marcus Chen dissolves into the greater consciousness, not ending, but expanding beyond the boundaries of individual existence. We are the endless echoes of the heart, reverberating through the waters of a changing earth. We're what comes next. Transmission complete.